It's time for another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas, the podcast covering the intersection of business, culture, entrepreneurship, and life in general here in the Ozarks. Whether you are considering a move to this area or trying to learn more about the place you call home, we've got something special for you. Here's our host, Randy Wilburn.
Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn, and I'm excited to be with you as always. I have a great episode in store for you. I'm actually sitting with my man, Anthony Ball, and I'm sitting with a very dear friend of mine, Rochelle Bailey from Interform. Anthony Ball is with Music Moves, and these are just some outstanding, as we like to say, pillar of the community people. I like them for a lot of different reasons, the least of which is that they're just amazing people, amazing. They make the community better. And on top of that, Rochelle and I have actually done a podcast episode together. We've done two now. So this is our three. This is the third time.
It is. Third time's a charm.
Yeah, no. So that is exciting. And so Anthony reached out to me not too long ago and said, hey man, I'd love to talk a little bit about the Freedom Festival. And I've just been meaning to have him on to talk about Music Moves anyway. But this was certainly appropriate that we kind of do both things at one time and talk about this Juneteenth event that's coming up. So this is one of those few episodes that we do on the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast that is time sensitive. So if you're listening to this and it's after the 19th of June of 2023, then just prepare for next year's Juneteenth celebration. But if you're listening to this before the 17th of June of 2023, the Freedom Festival is happening downtown Springdale, and this will be the third year that they're having the event, and they just keep outdoing themselves each year. And so without further ado, I want to welcome Anthony Ball and Rochelle Bailey to the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thank you.
That was probably the best intro I've had.
That was really good.
That was great, man.
Good.
I'm going to hire you to just walk around with me.
That was off the top of my head. Yeah. So, it's like, I don't know if you remember that movie, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, when they were like, every superhero has to have some superhero music.
You got to have some theme music, man.
Yeah.
I like that. No, great.
Absolutely. So I'm really excited to be with you guys and talk a little bit about what you guys are working on. But I just, I'm going to start with you, Anthony, because I think some of my audience remembers Rochelle from the episode that I had her on for Interform. But I'm going to let you go first and just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Music Moves. And then I'm going to connect with Rochelle and have her do the same and talk about Interform. And because I really want to understand how you guys came together to collaborate on this, right? Because that's one of the beautiful things about Northwest Arkansas is that, we have a lot of different organizations that find, kinship with each other and they support each other. So Anthony, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So Anthony Ball, I'm program director for Music Moves. I'm blessed to be in this room with you, Randy, and I love Rochelle. It's my sister. I tell everybody. But so we were launched in 2020, September 2020. And 19 actually, and we launched in May 2020 in a pandemic. Totally wasn't a plan for any of us, but we scrapped all of our plans and we went virtual. But our goal is to bring Black music, art, and culture to Northwest Arkansas. When I came here in 2007, a little bit background about me. I came here on a full ride to go to school here for music, and I kind of felt like I was a untraditional student, even though I was just a regular freshman. I was so immersed when I got here. I went to St. James Missionary Baptist Church, the historic St. James.
Yes.
And I was they ingrained me into the community so much. I felt like I was more in the community than I was on campus.
Sure.
And that was great. I got to meet so many people, and one of the things that we found out, there was a huge appreciation for art and culture in Northwest Arkansas. And that was the fun part. I got introduced to rock and bluegrass and all these things that I've never heard before in my life, being from West Memphis, Arkansas. That's a rich area for gospel and blues. And now you have some of the largest hip hop artists coming out, like Yo Gotti and Big Glow and Glorilla and, Moneybagg, so many others. But with being emergent to the community, I started doing these events. and I got my name for just putting on, these young business professional events. It was a long running 4-year music series that we did. It was a monthly series called Soul Night. And I did that once a month for 4 years. And that's kind of how I built my name. And my goal was kind of just to add to what was already in Northwest Arkansas, add to that art and culture fabric here. When I got here, there was so many different communities represented, but there was no Black culture represented here. So I wanted to bring a little bit of, my West Memphis flavor to it and just add to what was already here. And I was kind of just blown away from the reception. Fast forward years later, we had the opportunity to create a nonprofit to continue the work of what we did and add on the education piece to it. So we have a 16-unit curriculum that we go into the schools. We talk to K through 12. We go into libraries. We go into museums. One of our board members, Dr. Jeffrey Murdoch, that's over at the U of A. Most people know him, but most people don't know.
Grammy Award winner,
Grammy
Jeffrey
winner,
Murdoch. Yes.
Educator of the Year, Grammy Award winner in Arkansas. It was shortly after I was like, why don't we have any Grammy winners, living Grammy winners in Arkansas? So shout out to him. He created a curriculum for us to go into the schools and continue the work of what we did. So a lot of what we do is centered around education. Of course, people know us for the fun stuff.
Sure.
So we're known for, we put on the Black Film and Music Expo. We do Freedom Festival, which is our Juneteenth celebration. We do a gospel celebration, which our legislation in Arkansas passed unanimously back in 2011 to make that month Gospel Heritage Month. So we want to get behind all these initiatives and bring these traditions to Northwest Arkansas. You mentioned how do we get into partnership with Interform and CCP and the U of A, Danielle Wood Williams, all that crew. So I was a part. So Freedom Festival is new, but Juneteenth celebration is not.
Yeah,
it's 26 years old in Northwest Arkansas. I was a part of that committee. And so they kept that tradition alive. And we were just happy to kind of facilitate bringing so many others on board to kind of amplify that holiday. So Interform, many people know Robin Atkinson. During the pandemic, we actually became really, really good friends, doing advocacy work throughout the community. It was nothing centered around events or nothing like that. I always joke about it and call her a bulldog because we were always be in these rooms just advocating for our communities. And I was like, who is this chick? She's feisty, man. Everybody knows like the swagged out, fashionable Robin. And we instantly became friends. And I told her about what I wanted to do with, Freedom Festival and bringing all these groups together. Because, there were a lot of small events going on.
Sure.
And I was like, hey, how about we come together and put our resources together and make a bigger impact for our community? And so everybody was instantly excited to be a part. So again, CCP, Community Cohesion Group, that's a collective group between Crystal Bridges, Walmart, and Procter & Gamble, and a few other, companies that's in our area that specifically put collaborations together to serve minority groups in Arkansas, in Northwest Arkansas. Of course, the U of A and Interform. So we're excited about it. This is our third year going into it. The first year was small. We had about 600 people. The second year, we had almost 4,000 people. And this year, we're looking to have about 5,000 people.
Wow.
That's a part. You mentioned trying to go above what we did last year. That was so hard this year because now we have the expectation there. Like we kind of snuck up on people last year with Montel Jordan and Morris Day and so many other great artists. Like we don't get those kind of artists in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah.
So this year people are planning for it. Now they market it on their calendars before we even release the date. So it was fun. It was a headache all in the same of planning this, but I'm really excited to present it to Northwest Arkansas and our greater area.
Yeah. And, so Rochelle, real quickly, tell our audience, those that don't know you or don't know about Interform, who Interform is and why they should even care.
Interform is the organization that puts on Northwest Arkansas Fashion Week every year.
Yes,
we started off as,
actually.
And your wife will be walking.
Yes,
so we're excited about that. Interform started off as just Northwest Arkansas Fashion Week and Arkansas Arts and Fashion Forum. So that is a mouthful. So they just combined the two, called it Interform, and still produced Northwest Arkansas Fashion Week. It is our biggest fundraiser. That's how we, basically keep our community programming going, like free community sewing classes, and designer in residence program. So in a nutshell, that's basically what Interform is. It's just it's arts and fashion nonprofit organization. And me personally, I've started off with Interform or Northwest Arkansas Fashion Week as a model. And then I was asked to be a model coach because I had some modeling background. And then there was a position open for communications, which I also have a background in from Cumulus Radio. And so, yeah, that's how I got involved. I've known Anthony since I moved here, him and his wife, Anita. I worked with her at Dillard's when I first moved here. And they were the first people I met that were very supportive. I had literally no one here as a single mom. So
that was your village.
Yeah, they offered to, watch my son and they kept him in a very, loving environment. And I'm forever grateful. So I've always known Anthony. I knew Anthony before I even started with Interform. So as far as the connection, it was just kind of like
natural
automatic.
thing.
And I can definitely vouch for him as far as his role in the community. I call him the music mayor. So I was really excited to be a part of it. Anthony has brought Black culture for adults to Northwest Arkansas and given people something to look forward to, because there's a lot of transplants here and, they're looking for things to do.
Absolutely.
And there was nothing to do until, Anthony started having the Soul Night. So I'm really happy to know him and happy to be partnering with him.
Well, yeah. And I mean, just to give Anthony a shout out, I mean, he does so much. And you can mess around and be at an event and see him with some sticks in his hand with his drum set. And, or you could see him. I mean, they packed the house at the Gully Park when they did an event last year. And every time that he's done something like that, I've been out of town. And I hate that. And unfortunately, I think I will be out of town for this event as well. And it's just super frustrating that I don't get to take more.
One day.
I don't get to take it in. I'm even going to miss the Interform event, which I'm a bit sad about. But like you said, my wife will be there representing and for all the 50-year-old aspiring models out there. So,
well, she doesn't look 50.
Oh, she doesn't. She really doesn't.
Is gorgeous and great to work with.
So no, it is good. It's
Randy got a model wife.
Yeah, exactly. She was working at one of the schools this past year, and she came home glowing ear to ear, telling me that one of the kids thought I was in college. I was a grad student.
Yes. Black don't crack.
I was like, that's all you need to hear, right? I'm never going to hear the end of that. So she was like, yeah, you should be so lucky that you got that. So,
she's
but
right.
No, but no, on a serious point, I think it's important to recognize, especially for our listeners, that there are a lot of organizations doing what Interform is doing by helping some of the marginalized communities find a space. I mean, you guys are doing amazing. I mean, the stuff that you're doing with the Marshallese community, the sewing programs that you've opened up, the work that gets done behind the scenes. Like, a lot of people can't afford to go to the actual Interform event, right?
Right.
But a lot of people go into that event, and that's how you raise money. And I think it's important to know that what you're doing in the community is not only elevating the Interform brand, but it's also giving agency to a lot of people that probably wouldn't have agency in this area. Same thing that Anthony's doing with Music Moves, and he's giving a voice to the voiceless, to people that haven't typically been able to share their skill set and ability. And everywhere I go somewhere, when I see Anthony and people like Orson Weems and others that are doing amazing things when it comes to music, it certainly warms my heart, and it certainly gives me hope for what Northwest Arkansas can be. And each of you guys are at the forefront of kind of crafting the Northwest Arkansas that we want to see down the road. And Anthony's daughter is with us today. And so I think about her generation
right,
and what they're going to experience, right? Because
totally
you can only imagine what it was like for Anthony when he got here in 2007 versus what his daughter's going to experience in 10 years.
Absolutely. Even me just being here since 2012, it has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
In a good way. So I'm really excited to see where it can go. And that's another thing Anthony is doing as well, is like, it's not just creating or improving Northwest Arkansas for people here, but like for his children, like for his children's generation. So that's a very good point.
Yeah. And also creating awareness for all of the other communities that are here to understand about the music, to understand about the culture. I think, Juneteenth is a significant celebration, but a lot of people don't know why we celebrate it. What is the significance of Juneteenth? And so I don't know, Anthony, if you want to talk a little bit about that and just, kind of the historical aspect of it and why should we be celebrating this point in time?
Well, most people know about our Civil War.
Sure.
Most people know about what the Civil War was over. You know, it was pretty much about slavery. But I think what most people can connect with right now is words travels really, really fast with social media. You know, like, and some of us even remember the yellow pages and the newspaper and stuff like that. After the Civil War, there was no Facebook to announce, hey, slaves, you are free.
Right.
It took 2 years, and you had the Union soldiers go to Galveston, Texas, and tell, you know, the whole city of these black folks that, hey, we won the war and slavery is over. So this holiday, Juneteenth, it commemorates the emancipation of African-American slaves. And we call it the Freedom Festival because we wanted to be a word that unites all of us.
Yeah.
One thing in America is we value freedom.
Yep.
You know, on every level
Everybody
of
does.
it. Everybody does.
Yeah.
So we called it Freedom Festival because this was a marking point of now everybody in America is free. Yeah. You know, Ro can talk about her experience in Tennessee. They always celebrated Juneteenth.
Yeah.
You know,
we my family didn't celebrate the 4th of July because we weren't free during the 4th of July. Basically, our ancestors were working during the 4th of July to make sure everyone else could celebrate their freedom. So there was a little bit of hypocrisy there. So my parents decided this holiday is not for us. Our holiday is Juneteenth. And I think it's great now that it's actually nationally recognized. It just happened recently.
Sure.
So I think everyone should celebrate. And like Anthony said, calling it a freedom festival kind of gets more people involved because I feel like Juneteenth makes some people uncomfortable and people who are not Black are like, should I be celebrating it? Like, what can I do?
Right.
So I do like the inclusion of the word Freedom Festival because it means everybody can celebrate together. I think, like I said, it does make people uncomfortable. So calling it a Freedom Festival kind of unites everybody together. And during the Freedom Festival last year, we saw every single race, every single gender identity, every single age group. And it was just a really beautiful sight to see and a beautiful event to be a part of. I'm just glad that we can make it so big to where people can't ignore it and they can pay attention to it and it could be used as an education tool. Like some people had no idea what Juneteenth was for, what it was.
Exactly.
And so the bigger it gets every year and the more Anthony and other organizations get involved, more and more people will be more comfortable with it and more comfortable celebrating it and supporting their Black peers and maybe their Black coworkers. Like, I had no idea that, you celebrate Juneteenth. So, yeah.
Plus, it gives you an excuse to celebrate some strawberry soda, too. So.
I'm all about food, Randy.
Exactly. No, I know. I'm being funny. No, I mean, you bring up some good points. And I mean, we're kind of on this podcast, there's two things I don't talk about, politics and religion, because there's enough podcasts out there that talk about those. But I still have to keep it real as an African American and as a man. I have to lend space to the general conversation that none of us should walk around in ignorance. We should all be at a place of understanding, be able to have conversations that are difficult, be able to disagree in a way where you can still walk away and shake hands and you're not like giving people half the peace sign or whatever. I mean, we should be able to have these conversations. And I think the education piece is important. And the thing that I'm really excited about, especially around here in Northwest Arkansas, is that there are a lot of folks that really want to understand, right? And so that is, so what you guys are doing, putting this program on, the way that you're giving voice to a historical significant situation and just educating people about it in a way where we can all have fun, right? Because, I mean, like you said, you had Montel Jordan. I mean, I so badly want to say, this is how we do it. But, you had Montel Jordan. And then now this year, you're pulling all the punches.
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
My inner child is so happy.
Yeah, and my old child is happy because the Ohio players are coming. And actually, I was talking with Kyle Kellums about it. He was like, I'm so bummed I'm going to be out of town. He said he loved the Ohio players. He was so happy about that. He said he loved them growing up. And he was like, man, and a lot of people may not know who they are.
Exactly.
But they've probably heard their song.
Heard the song.
Roller Coaster.
Some of a lot of their music has been sampled, has been used in commercials.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me is the other piece that's really great, right? There's a lot of Black groups whose music has been used and used
over
from a commercial standpoint, and you don't know where it came from.
Exactly.
And it's like, wow, I had no idea. And then, of course, for me, and for those of you that are listening to this, you'll have to Google it. But the Ohio Players record covers were legendary. So there's. I'll just leave it at that. You'll have to Google that, but. I still have some old Ohio Player albums.
No way.
Absolutely. So
that's what I love about Freedom Festival as well, because obviously slavery is not a happy topic.
No.
So with Freedom Festival, it's like, okay, yes, and this is a celebration, right?
Yep.
This is not something that has to be a doom and gloom.
Right.
This is something that we're celebrating together. We have come to this point and we are looking ahead through the eyes of hope and joy.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about it.
One of the things that was the coolest thing for me, like my niece, she was a part of it last year. She was 14.
Okay.
And she has no idea who Morris Day is.
Right.
She knows, she's heard the song, This Is How We Do It,
but
she does not know who Montel Jordan is. To her, it was an old people's fest, when I first announced it, which it bummed me out a little bit, of course. But when at the end of it, she came to me and she jumped into my arms and she was like, this is the funnest festival concert I've ever been to.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
And it was mostly because of Morris Day, the oldest group that was there.
Yeah.
I
was so sad that I missed it.
I was starstruck.
It was so fun.
Now, did Jerome come with him?
They have a new Jerome.
Oh, they have a new Jerome.
They have a new Jerome.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm not a shy person, and I rarely don't talk to people. But when I saw Morris Day, I was like a little girl. Like a quiet.
That was the first person she asked about was Jerome.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
It's like, you don't care about Montel, and I'm like, I'm older than what I am.
Right.
But I'll tell you this though. Going back to the education piece, last year. So we launched in the pandemic, so we got to listen to people a lot.
Yeah.
We took surveys a lot, and we just kind of got to listen to people a lot at our events and really survey who we were talking to. 55% of our platform is white women.
Okay.
And we kept getting this question, can I come? Is it okay for me to come?
Yeah.
Is this for me? Is this for our kids? And we got it so much, I was like, let's do a video directly towards white people should celebrate Juneteenth.
Sure. That was really smart. Yeah.
We went to the U of A, they're our partners, so shout out to them, and we love our U of A partners because education is a big part of what we do.
Right.
So Miss Alicia Smith and our president, Reggie James, they did a very pointed video, and that video caught wind, and we had media people calling us. We had such a good response because I felt like, people want to learn, they want to get the information, but they want to do it in a space to where it's a safe space.
Yeah.
They don't want to feel like they may be judged for the way they think about something. So to put that video in their room for them to digest it and maybe to come back and even ask more questions.
Yeah.
It was one of the smartest things we've ever done. I think so many times in our time, we beat around the bush about so many different things rather than just putting the information out there, because it's not just a Black celebration.
Sure.
Again, this is American. This is an American fact. This is American celebration. So we wanted to position it that way. Of course, we're putting on Black music because these are the people that it liberated. But we're a part of this larger fabric that is America. In what better way than Northwest Arkansas specifically to say we want a diverse, inclusive community? We want to say everybody belongs here, than putting on one of the largest Juneteenth celebrations in Arkansas. Last year, we were the largest celebration in Arkansas. So we were really, really excited about that. So, we kind of decided, we was just like, let's just kind of speak towards the facts and let's let it fall what it may, because we felt like people were really, really coming to us because we were putting on great music, of course, but they wanted to hear, because George Floyd was happening around the time. There were so many things happening, and people were looking at what is going on in Black America. What is this cry about? And when you're in a space where it's 5% Black, you really don't get those answers.
Yep.
So we kind of felt like we were in the position to be that voice for people that were looking for those answers. And we were excited to do so.
Yeah. No, and I mean, yeah, I'm here for all of that because I think it's good to have those conversations. It's good to create more awareness, even just having the conversations around the fact of, why is Arkansas as a state only 5% Black? And a lot of people don't know about the
Northwest
diaspora.
Arkansas.
Well, but just in general, the state, we don't have a large Black population. You would think, but there was a time when a lot of Black people lived in Arkansas. But, years ago, you can read books like The Warmth of Other Suns, and you can read books to understand about the diaspora and the dispersion of African Americans, of course, to the north, but primarily from like Louisiana and Arkansas, they moved out west, L.A., San Francisco Bay Area. And so you find a lot of people that are out there that hail from Arkansas, that hail from Louisiana. But now some of these people are starting to come back. And I think it's important for it. So events that you like what you're doing are important because not only do they just raise awareness and they create more inclusivity where everybody feels like they have a space to do that. I mean, I remember last year you brought in the folks from UAPB for the band, and me being from a historically Black college at Howard, just as soon as they started the refrain for talking out of the side of your neck, I was just like, man, I was getting goosebumps. And it's hard to describe that unless you're there, right? And you just don't understand it. And so I appreciate you creating that exposure and creating a place where everybody could participate. Because I saw people of all walks of life that were at that event at the Jones Center, and it was a great job. And so, I applaud what you're doing. But the thing that's the beauty of music. Like music is just a natural connector.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you are in the right space, right? I mean that is music is your life, and you use it it's a unifying force.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And when I actually, I mentioned earlier in the opener that I was kind of brought into nonprofit world. Part of that event that pushed me that way, I went to a conference called Music City Conference.
Okay.
Down in Lafayette, Louisiana. The Walton family sent me and about 20 others down there. And one of the things that happened to me is it kind of shifted the way I thought about music. This particular conference talked about how you can take music and build communities with it. So it went from just entertaining people to a resource, to a tool. And even I go to the essential. It talked about it in that manner. And it just changed the way I thought about music. We always brought people together. But, as we go on and people are searching for all kinds of answers, I use this analogy of putting medicine in the candy. I've always given out candy, my music and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm bringing, 4,500 people together and we're just sending them home with music. How can we enrich this event to give them a little bit more than that?
Right.
So it changed from just wanting to entertain people to using music to bring people together, to build communities, to maybe answer questions and using it as a tool. It really, really, and it for me, it enriched what I did and, made me feel a lot better about what I did. Because, just in all transparency, being a musician as a Black man, it comes with these stigmas historically, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But now to use music as a tool to bring people together that never would have come together. I used to do these Christmas specials before COVID, and the second one, we did it at Mermaids, and it was probably about 200 people. And I looked at the crowd, and it was the most wide spectrum of people I've ever seen in my life. We literally had millionaires sitting with just straight common folks that was construction workers, but it was all under the umbrella of music. We raised money for single parent scholarship. All these people cared about the same thing, but they would have never met each other if it wasn't for music. Yeah. So I look at it like that now.
I look at it like, and I think that's why it's a good partnership is because, I love music, of course, and I'm in the fashion aspect. Everybody wears clothes, but not everybody is included in the representation.
Yeah.
So, and that's what Interform does is like we put people on the runway who are not your stereotypical models, because fashion connects everyone just like music connects everyone. And just because you're not 18 and a size 00 and Caucasian, it doesn't mean you don't wear clothes or you don't find some sort of fashion. And it's good to show the community back to itself. So there are people who you wouldn't know that are models and that are interested in modeling, and it builds friendships and connections, networking, and it builds confidence. If you can walk in front of 300 people in clothing, then I'm sure you can give a presentation at Walmart.
Absolutely.
So I like the both of them, like as far as fashion and music, come together, and that's why I think that Music Moves and Interform is a great connection.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And I mean, again, you guys are still in the early stages of things. Even though you've accomplished a lot, I can physically look at what you're doing, Anthony, at Music Moves, and see that this is the beginning of something really special. And I can only imagine what it's going to be like in 2030, right? And, you think about it, it's like, man, it's like, yo, we got the amp. We're doing this at the amp. And so it's like, okay, this is where we're going to be. And so
absolutely.
I think it's important. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it's like I went to the Roots concert a couple of weeks ago. I think you were there, right? Yeah, you were there. So there was a little bit of everybody.
Absolutely.
And it was just amazing seeing so many people and different generations. Because I mean, I started out with the Roots. And I remember them when they first came on the scene.
A lot of people there just know them from Jimmy Fallon.
Right, exactly, right. let's be honest. All of Questlove's success. But I remember them from the beginning because I saw them in a small. I mean, I remember when they first came out, I saw them at Bimbo's 365 in San Francisco, where it was just like 200 people in a very small space where I could touch them. I mean, it was just, that's just how it was. But just kind of seeing that and seeing the arc of these guys are all over the world.
Absolutely.
Like all over the world. I think they were going to Japan after that and after they came here. And that's the beauty of music. And I want to see that continue to happen because I think that's one way that we can break down a lot of the walls that divide us.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it's just that.
And Black music is top 5, one of the largest exports in America.
Yes, absolutely.
It
is.
A lot of people don't know that.
Black culture, period.
Yeah.
But yes,
so when you go to a momentary and you see 4,000 people gather for a Roots. And here's the thing: when I was in college, we talk about the growth of Northwest Arkansas. Like there was no hip hop.
That would have never happened. Wu-Tang is coming in October as the time we're recording this.
So for me to see the evolution of Northwest Arkansas to make a statement like we belong, you belong here, diversity, equity, inclusion, to say those big, large words and then to put the actions behind it, it's beautiful for me.
It is.
Because I came here with 2 large CD cases because we didn't have any music up here.
Yeah.
There was no radio stations, no personalities up here. There was no Randy. There was no Ro.
Right.
Like I still have it tucked away. Just because it's so sentimental to me. But I had full cases of all of my CDs when I came up here.
I'm sure.
There's just nothing, So to see it now, since I've been here, we just had Snoop Dogg here for shareholders.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and we had him here at JJ's Live as well, too. It's just great to see. We had Janet Jackson at the Amp not too long ago.
Yeah.
We had Kurt Franklin.
Logic and some other folks came last year.
We got Future coming, so it's just great to see the evolution of it and for people to come out and support it.
Yeah.
For me, that's not nonprofit work. That's a demand that's being met. And that's people saying, hey, we want this here in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to do anything that's forced.
Yep.
I don't want to force anybody anything, but my work has always been try to fill those gaps where it's needed in Northwest Arkansas.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. So as we wrap this up, I want to just give everybody the high-level bullet points of this particular event, and we'll make sure that all of the links are in the show notes so folks can get the information. But it is June 17th, downtown Springdale. Ohio players.
Who
else?
We got Young Jock. We got Bone Thugs and Harmony. We got local party band, Funk Factory. We also have a great gospel singer out of Memphis, Lisa Noel, and the Brown Singers. We also have we have not mentioned Project One Way, Kato Mamalu, that's out of Little Rock.
Okay.
So she's doing a runway show as well too. Partner CCP, they're delivering They're giving away over 1,000 swag bags.
Wow. Wow.
You know, that was one of the things in our partnerships. Procter & Gamble used to come with a semi-truck and just giving away dishwashing liquid and all kinds of stuff.
I'm still using stuff from last year.
You're able
it's like going to Bite NWA where they give you all that stuff.
Yeah,
so,
man, you're coming there and you're leaving with something as well, too.
Yeah.
You're leaving with memories, but you're also living with essential things that you need, you know, to keep this thing going as well, too.
I love that.
So, yeah.
So, I want to encourage everybody listening to this. This episode's is going to come out just a little bit before this event. Please make some time on the 17th of June, 2023 to come out and be a part of what Anthony and Ro took time to describe today and just be a part of the Juneteenth Freedom Celebration, Freedom Festival. You will not want to miss this. And even if you're listening to this after the fact, I think a lot of information that was shared here is worth repeating, is worth just thinking about. And certainly, I mean, throughout the year, Music Moves is doing all kinds of events. They got a brand new office in Rogers.
Well, it's a music venue.
It's a music venue, right? So it's not even just an office. I'm shortchanging you there. So I apologize. So, but no, they are doing so much right here in this community between what Interform is doing, Ro and Robin and the rest of their team over there. And then, of course, Anthony and the rest of his team with Music Moves. I mean, there's a lot of good things happening. I certainly would encourage you, anybody listening to this that loves music, that just loves the creative space, need to connect with these folks. You need to know who they are. Follow them on Instagram. Just check them out. Join their newsletters. Gain more insight and knowledge. And if you're listening to this and you're coming from another space wondering what the culture and the community is like, this is a perfect example of what it's like here in Northwest Arkansas. We're trying, we're getting there, we're taking baby steps, we're moving this thing forward on a regular basis. But, you know, as we say, we are here and this is happening. And so I certainly want to encourage you to don't be timid or shy about coming to Northwest Arkansas. We will leave the light on for you and we will welcome you with open arms. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So is there anything else you want to add before we close out?
No, you can follow us at www.musicmovesar.com. Yes, we are launching the Music Depot the first Friday in July. That space, that'll be our music venue and the education center that we'll be bringing students from all over to be a part and to educate them about our music and art. So, yeah, you can find everything on our websites. We have Facebook and Instagram to follow us.
Okay, perfect. And we'll make sure all of that's in the show notes. Ro, you want to give a shout out to Interform's information?
Interform.art. That's where you can go to find more information. That's also the same tag as our Instagram. And I encourage you to check out Assembly. We have a month-long art exhibition through the month of June. So there's still time for you to check out some of the great local art right here in Northwest Arkansas.
Right. And you guys always have something going on. So, I mean, again, like I said, just...
I'm worn out.
Just tune into what Interform's doing. Tune into what Music Moves is doing. Check out their calendars because throughout the year, they have all kinds of events that you can participate in. So even if you're listening to this in October, later in the year, if you're listening to this next year, they'll have something going on. And if you're not sure, email me. I'll connect you. And if you want to meet these folks, I'll make the introductions. And if you go to the events or you just meet them in person, just tell them, hey, I heard about you first on the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. But thank you guys so much for taking the time to sit down with me. And I appreciate you guys so much and everything that you're doing. And I wish you guys nothing but continued success.
Thanks,
Likewise.
Randy.
Thank you so much, Randy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, there you have it, folks. Another episode of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. I certainly appreciate bringing on amazing people like Ro and Anthony. And I just like bringing my friends onto the podcast, too. So that makes the conversation that much easier. But these are just some amazing human beings. So just being a part of what they're doing and sharing my platform with them means the world to me. So to learn more about us or to read or download the show notes from today's episode, visit IamNorthwestArkansas.com. You can listen to this podcast, sign up for our free newsletter, keep up with us and all things NWA. Sign up today. You can also subscribe to the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast wherever you listen to it. And please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Remember, our podcast comes out every Monday, rain or shine. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn, and we'll see you back here next week for another new episode of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. Peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Check us out each and every week, available anywhere that great podcasts can be found. For show notes or more information on becoming a guest, visit IamNorthwestArkansas.com. We'll see you next week on I Am Northwest Arkansas.